Hey guys, my name's Caleb. Thanks for clicking on this video. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to take a look at these Mr. Freedom's Raider fatigues, and I wanted to do a quick little review and then walk you guys through my experience giving them a soak and shrinking them down to size, as there aren't really a lot of videos specifically doing this with Mr. Freedom brand clothing on YouTube. So I wanted to kind of just give you guys a little look into that process. All right, let's get started. So these pants are based on a fatigue issued to the Marines between 1942 and 1945. They're made out of a olive drab herringbone twill, and they feature a very, very wide leg. It is actually with a direct inspiration from the wideness of the leg of the original pant. They are the widest leg that Mr. Freedom currently offers in any of their pants. There is a slight taper introduced from the knee down to make them a little bit more wearable every day for normal wear, but it does not really take away from the whole aesthetic or the original vintage look at all. The material used is this 100% cotton herringbone twill. As well, the pants have contrasting khaki stitching, as well as these khaki belt loops, and on the inside there is the khaki inside of the pants. And then it can also be seen with this khaki twill is also in the front as well as on the pocket bags. The contrast between these two different colors is a direct inspiration from original pairs of pants that were made during the war, as with the increased production and the increased need for clothing for the wartime, the quality standards necessarily weren't always consistent with what we would want nowadays. Because of that, there were panels that would oftentimes be mismatched, with pants being a combination of different colors that were allowed at the time and part of the uniforms. And they weren't always necessarily all the exact same color. There would often be entire panels or pieces of the legs that would be different colors than other pieces. And Mr. Freedom said in order to avoid a Harlequin style look, they claimed, and to make them more wearable, they chose to just include the khaki color on the inside and on the belt loops and stitching as an homage to the original pants, but as to not fully just 100% recreate them. So I took the measurements for these pants, and just so that we can get a kind of before look at what they were like before we go through the wash and what that experience does to them, and to see how much they shrink down or if they shrink down and what that's going to look like. So I took a waist measurement just by measuring directly across the waist, and that measurement was 16.5 inches. I chose to take the measurement information and the measurement format that Grailed uses because I find that it's generally pretty easy and informative and shows you an accurate description of the actual garments. The inseam for the pants is about 35 inches. I took the measurements for the leg opening from side to side. That was 9 3/4 inches. I then took a measurement from the front rise up to the top of the waist, which was 12 3/4 inches. And then right here at the bottom of the crotch, directly across the leg, I took a thigh measurement of 13.5 inches. And finally, I decided 12 inches down from the crotch is where I assumed my knee would be, and I took a knee measurement, which was 11 inches. So as with all Mr. Freedom garments, this came unwashed, as the owner of Mr. Freedom is generally against pre-washed clothing, as he believes it shortens the lifespan of the actual clothes. So because of that, we are going to give them a hot soak to kind of get all of the chemicals or whatever else is in them and any shrinkage that is in them out, as they do fit a little bit big. When you go to do sizing on Mr. Freedom's website, they recommend you take your measurements and then buy whatever is your measurement, and they say that their pants and their clothes are designed to shrink down to your measurements. As I've recently lost a bit of weight, I moved from a 34 to a 32, so I decided to buy a 32 in these. And so when I put them on, they were a little big in the waist, but I'm going to, give them this hot soak to hopefully get a little bit of shrinkage out and get them down to size. From a little bit of experience I have with other Mr. Freedom items like the jeans, that I have experienced that they do stretch out a bit. So if once they shrink, they are a little tight, it shouldn't be too much of a problem, as over a few days, they will stretch out to your waist size. So I do think it is smart to follow their sizing instructions, and then obviously if you are off a little bit one way or the other, the jeans can always stretch out, or you could wear a belt or suspenders or another implement to make it a little bit tighter or make it easier to keep your pants up. So these pants do feature a very high rise and a wide leg. So I'm gonna show you guys what that looks like, as that isn't really common nowadays, and just allow you to get a accurate look into what these actually look and fit like. All right, so it's been a few days. I've worn the pants around for the last few days to get a little bit of the stretch that might have came after the shrinkage from the wash out, to make sure that they were gonna be an accurate size compared to what they would be immediately after the shrinking from the hot wash. What I ended up doing was I put them in the bath in hot water for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then I hung them outside for a short period of time to dry, and then hung them inside of my house in my bathroom to dry. So there wasn't a ton of change in the measurements after the hot wash. There were a few things that changed, and they do feel like they fit a bit different, although that could definitely just be in my head. The waist stayed the same at 16.5 inches. The biggest change I noticed is that they did shorten by a little bit, which is good for me because I do have a little bit shorter legs in comparison to my torso. So they went from a 35 inseam to a 34. The leg openings stayed the same at 9 3/4. The front rise shortened just a bit from 12 3/4 to 12 1/4. The thigh, I may have just mismeasured the first time, but it set, my measurements had it shrinking just over an inch, which I'm not really sure if that's accurate. I don't feel like it is. I think I might have just mismeasured the first time, as my thigh measurement originally was 13.5 and then went down to 12 and a half, or 12.5. And then the knee measurement, which I measured 12 inches down from the crotch and then across, stayed at 11 inches. So overall, I would say if you were to buy these, if they come to you fitting you quite well, then I would just recommend a cold or warm wash for a short amount of time just to get out any shrinkage. And if they do seem a little big, and I would honestly recommend a hot wash, or if they do seem too big, I wouldn't recommend keeping them in a hopes that they're gonna shrink in the bath, because the shrink is not that considerable. I would definitely just focus on trying to get your right size, which you can do by taking your measurements and referencing their sizing charts online, as well as their sizing recommendations, which they do have posted for most of their products online. And through the use of those tools, you should be able to get a close and accurate fit. And if not, through my own personal experience talking with them and sending items back and forth, as well as going to them in person, they have great customer service. The only downside is that you do pay shipping on the way back, so if you do have to send something back, there is a little bit of extra expense there, although they do cover the shipping of the item back, the new item back to you, which is beneficial and which is really nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me just giving you a little fit overview and a quick review of these Mr. Freedom Raider fatigues, and I hope you'll come back for the next video. Please subscribe and enjoy. Thank you. Bye-bye.